How did you get involved with One Piece?
I auditioned. I had been working at Funimation for just a little bit, and I had recently kind of come up with a boy voice for a different project, which was my first real boy voice. And when auditions were being held for One Piece, Mike McFarland called me in, and I thought I'd be auditioning for Nami and Robin. So that's what I came in focusing on. And he asked me in the moment to audition for Luffy, and got my blood up immediately. And then he thankfully he let me go away and like work on it and then come back and read it because I had no idea that's what I would be reading for. And then he cast me. He sent that off to Toei, and they actually came back with notes for everybody on what they'd like to hear slightly different. And then we did another round, and they had asked that Luffy be a little bit gruffer. So I gruffed him up a little bit, and then here we are.
How did you come up with Luffy's voice, besides it being gruffer?
The standard boy voice for women voicing boys in our American media is to kind of throw it into the back of your throat and gruff it up a little bit. And I learned that straight from Laura Bailey, who was my roommate and best friend, and she kind of got me in the door, and she's the one who taught me how to do different things like that. Because otherwise everything would sound like meatwad. I had no idea what to do with voices. And so I kind of took that and then made it my own. And then Luffy is a little bit gruffer than my standard boy voice. So maybe a little more cartoony. So that's kind of the transformation. And he's changed over the years too. There's a time skip, and we kind of lowered it and made sure that he sounded a little bit older. And he goes through a lot of different transformations.
Speaking of transformations, Luffy has his different gears. What has been your approach to differentiating between the different gears?
Straight fear. Every time a new gear is introduced, it's like, really? I don't have any more gears left in me. So it's just fear feeding it. And then really, honestly, you're just trying to push it to the next level. And it feels like you've already pushed it as far as it possibly could go. Thankfully, with the latest one, there was an actual vocal shift that happened, that's like a character that's being put on in the original, and so that kind of guided us to a different voice for this latest gear. But other than that, it's just go as big and as loud and as gruff as you can.
So in the past, fans have asked you about burnout, particularly with Luffy. So you have said before that you do experience burnout with him in the past.
Do you
My
mean burnout
question,
like my voice going out?
yes, or with the longevity of the character.
I don't know that I
Um,
get past that all that often. That's interesting.
so I was wondering, knowing that you're in the 700 range and that you'll be hitting the 1,000 mark range, what do you think will help you maybe lessen burnout going forward with him,
I
or jump
definitely
back in?
have I definitely have vocal burnout where I hit a place where I just can't Luffy anymore that day. But burnout with the character and the longevity of the show has never been a problem for me because it's
Okay.
always been so interesting. Like there is no thread that is left untethered in this show. It always picks up with the next arc, and you always are interested in the next villain and finding out what the crew is doing next. They keep it interesting always. So I experience no burnout with Luffy. I am
Okay.
never tired of him. In fact, when he goes away for a while for whatever reason, whenever he comes back, it's just I'm so excited and I can't wait to get in the booth. Even knowing the pain that I'm going to go through, it's still so worth it. So approaching the 1,000th episode, I'm less afraid of burnout and more afraid of I'm going to be really sad when it's over.
Speaking of 1,000 episodes, you're also voicing characters that have been on Dragon Ball. Um, so how does it feel to have a legacy that spans two of the most successful long-term franchises in anime and manga?
Well, it's interesting because I came into the Dragon Ball universe after the fact. You know, when I got to Funimation, Dragon Ball was already a thing. Those characters were already in place. And then when it came back around in a different iteration with Dragon Ball Z Kai, that's when I got to be a part of the show. And I was so thrilled to get to be a part of something that was that huge. It's this tentpole show for our company, and I was really sad that I wasn't going to be a part of it. So that would made me very happy. But with One Piece, it's a different thing because I've gotten to be there from the ground up for Funimation. Now, to be fair, it's been dubbed before. There are other iterations of it, but we went back and we started at episode 1. So we genuinely have gone through the entire series with me as the voice of Luffy. So I feel that sense of that pride, and not ownership, but definitely connection to Luffy, that you rarely get, because you're rarely with a character for that long and from the beginning. So Luffy's pretty special to me.
You mentioned the previous dub, and we talked about your process with the voice. Was there anything about the previous dub that you maybe looked into when you were doing your version of the character, or was it completely new and yours?
I actually have never heard the previous dub deliberately. I didn't want that to inform the way that I did the voice. And I think when we first started out, that was the direction we were going. It was a whole new approach to it. So we specifically weren't supposed to look into it. So I just never have. I've never heard the previous one, and maybe I'll go back someday. But for the moment, this is where I'm living.
um, for viewers that haven't joined the Straw Hat crew yet, because they're young or because they may be daunted by the size and where we are in the series, what would you say to them about why they should join the crew?
I think people get really daunted by how many episodes there are in One Piece, and it can feel like a really big thing to bite off. But what people kind of forget is that all you have to do is enjoy the episode that you're watching right then. And you don't have to speed through it. You don't have to try to get through it. The point is to be enjoying it as it's happening. So I think that wherever you are, whenever you start it, just enjoy the journey from that episode. Don't make it a race. And don't get too precious about spoilers or about catching up in the manga or not catching up in the manga, or how you're supposed to engage with it. Just enjoy it. And then you get to experience it fully rather than kind of cramming it into the crannies of your media watching. That's, to me, it's great to be in a place where you're at the beginning of a show like this, because then you have so much to look forward to.
And my final question for you is, we talked about the boy voices and how you approach them. What is it like being a woman who gets to voice this iconic boy character?
I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity because, to be honest, it's very difficult to find a show that is as popular as One Piece that has a female lead. So it is, the chances of my getting to voice a role as iconic as this were slim because I am a woman, and because a lot of the iconic voices are male characters. So the fact that I get to voice it because they needed a woman in that role was really lucky. And I'll be forever grateful for it, but I am always looking for that to shift in our media experience.